Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to this exciting and fascinating deep dive where today we are going to uncover the story of one of the most unusual and extraordinary coins ever to exist, a coin that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike, the 2002 D1 cent coin, which despite its humble face value of just a penny, has been estimated at a staggering $38 million because of the extraordinary circumstances surrounding its minting, the errors it carries, the mistakes embedded within its design and production, and the endless possibilities that make it so incredibly valuable to collectors and investors who see it not only as a piece of currency but as a piece of history, a story frozen in copper and zinc, and a treasure that reflects both human error and sheer luck in the world of numismatics. And as we journey into the tale of this penny, we will explore exactly what makes it worth such an astonishing amount, how mistakes made during its production transformed it from pocket change to a multi-million-dollar rarity, and why even the smallest flaws can sometimes create the greatest fortunes. So sit tight as we break down the story of the 2002 D1 cent coin, minted in Denver, a facility known for producing billions of coins each year with remarkable precision. But even in such an environment, mistakes do happen. And when they do, the results can range from barely noticeable misalignments to mind-blowing and spectacular errors that captivate the entire coin collecting world. And the 2002 D penny that reached this jaw-dropping valuation of $38 million is believed to possess a perfect storm of errors that make it not only unique but also historically significant. Errors like double striking, where the coin is struck twice by the dies, creating ghostly images of Lincoln's portrait, or the inscriptions like "I in God we trust, liberty," and the year 2002 appearing slightly doubled, creating a visual anomaly that instantly signals rarity, or off-center strikes, where the design is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving part of the coin blank while still showing enough of the design to identify the date and mint mark, an error so appealing to collectors because it demonstrates a breakdown in the otherwise flawless machinery of the mint. And then there are die cracks, where the steel dies used to strike the coins develop fractures from repeated use, leaving raised, jagged lines across the coin surface that to the untrained eye might look like scratches, but to collectors are golden signs of uniqueness and value. And in the case of the $38 million 2002 D penny, multiple errors seem to have combined in a spectacular way, with stories claiming it displays a double strike, an off-center alignment, die cracks spreading across Lincoln's face, and even a rare transitional mistake where the planchet or blank used to strike the coin may have been left over from a previous year's metal composition, a situation that has happened in other rare coins like the famous 1943 copper penny or the 1944 steel cent, which both became multi-million-dollar rarities. And just imagine the improbability of all these errors converging on a single coin, struck at a mint that usually produces billions of flawless pieces, creating what some experts call the perfect error penny, a 1 in a billion occurrence that instantly elevates the coin into the upper stratosphere of value. And as we discuss its worth, it is important to understand that coin values are not just based on metal content or age but heavily influenced by rarity, demand, and historical importance. And in this case, the rarity of this particular 2002 D penny is unquestionable, with no other examples known to exist that display the same range of dramatic minting flaws, meaning collectors who want it are essentially competing for a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. And when a coin reaches that status, the bidding wars at auctions can be fierce, driving the price into tens of millions as wealthy collectors and investors seek to own a piece of history. And the fascination doesn't stop there, because this penny is also symbolic of the broader world of error coins, coins that remind us that perfection is not always what creates value. Sometimes imperfection, the flaws and mistakes that occur in the manufacturing process, are exactly what transforms something ordinary into something priceless. And the 2002 D penny teaches us this lesson in the most spectacular way, being worth more than entire collections of gold coins, more than mansions, yachts, or sports cars, because of the beauty of its imperfection. And when we look closer at the possible errors it carries, we can imagine scenarios where the Denver Mint, in its high-speed production of billions of pennies in 2002, might have had a momentary lapse in quality control. Perhaps a misaligned die went unnoticed, or a cracked die continued to strike thousands of coins until it broke entirely. But only one coin like this managed to survive in pristine condition, spared from circulation, spared from wear and tear, discovered and preserved by someone who realized its potential before it could be lost to time. And that discovery story itself adds to the mystique and value, because part of what makes any legendary coin priceless is the narrative of its survival, how it slipped past inspectors, escaped the melting pot, and ended up in the hands of someone who recognized its extraordinary features, and this story is now part of numismatic lore, a tale told again and again at coin shows, auctions, and collector gatherings, fueling the demand and the mythology around the $38 million penny. And we can dive even deeper into the possibilities that might exist within this coin, like whether its composition itself is unusual, perhaps struck on a foreign planchette, an error that has happened before when blank metal discs intended for other denominations or even other countries accidentally entered the penny presses, creating incredible oddities like dimes struck on penny blanks or pennies struck on dime planchets. And if such a composition error were present in the 2002 D penny, it would further explain its astronomical value. And beyond that, the mint mark itself, the small d under the date, could reveal doubling or misplacement, another feature that collectors crave, as misaligned or doubled mint marks have long been a staple of valuable error coins. And so, when you combine doubling, off-center striking, die cracks, possible transitional or planchette errors, and the mystique of a one-of-a-kind survival, you begin to understand why the coin has been valued at $38 million, and why it continues to capture imaginations across the world. Because to collectors it is not just a coin, it is a miracle of chance, a masterpiece created by mistake, and a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can carry the greatest stories, and the fact that a tiny 1-cent coin can outshine the value of rare diamonds or historical artifacts is what makes the hobby of coin collecting so endlessly fascinating, because it teaches us that history, rarity, and human error can combine to create treasures far beyond their original intent. And this 2002 D penny is the perfect example, as people from all over the world continue to talk about it, research it, and dream of finding another like it in their pocket change. And while the odds are astronomically slim, the very possibility is what keeps collectors and everyday people checking their change, examining their coins under magnifying glasses, and hoping for that once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And in this way, the story of the $38 million penny is not only about the coin itself but also about the passion it inspires, the treasure hunt it represents, and the idea that unimaginable wealth might still be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by those who take the time to look closely. And so as we wrap up this incredible journey into the world of the 2002 D penny, we can say with certainty that its value is not just in the copper and zinc of its metal, not just in the errors etched across its surface, but in the story, the myth, the rarity, and the passion it ignites, making it one of the most remarkable coins in history and a true symbol of how mistakes can sometimes create miracles worth millions. And as long as this coin exists, it will stand as a beacon for collectors everywhere, reminding us to always look closely at even the smallest things, because sometimes the smallest things turn out to be the most valuable treasures in the world. Next, 1997 1-cent coin, everyone, and thank you for joining us today, because what we are about to explore will absolutely blow your mind. It is the fascinating story of a seemingly ordinary 1997 1-cent coin that has turned into a legendary piece of numismatic history, commanding a staggering value of $37 million because of its extraordinary errors and mistakes. And while at first glance the thought of a penny being worth millions might sound unbelievable or even impossible, the reality is that rare minting anomalies, combined with historical significance, scarcity, collector demand, and sheer uniqueness, can transform a coin from pocket change into one of the most sought-after treasures on Earth. And in this video we will dive deep into the reasons why this 1997 1-cent coin is so valuable, what mistakes occurred during its production, the types of errors that collectors hunt for, the specific features that make this coin unlike any other, and the endless possibilities that explain its astronomical valuation, all while painting a picture of the coin's journey from a production mishap in the US Mint to a record-breaking collectible that today stands as a true symbol of how small details can create unimaginable worth. So let us begin by understanding that the year 1997 was not particularly famous for coins in circulation. The Lincoln cent had been a mainstay of US currency since 1909, featuring the beloved profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the familiar Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But in that year, due to the sheer volume of coins struck and the high speed of the minting process, there were occasional flaws, some of which went unnoticed, and among those flaws was the extraordinary 1-cent coin that became the ultimate jackpot for collectors. And when we talk about errors on coins, we are referring to an entire spectrum of anomalies, ranging from double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, broad strikes, misaligned dies, and even transitional errors where the wrong metal composition is used. Each type of error carries its own level of intrigue and value, But what makes the 1997 penny in question so fascinating is that it does not feature just one type of mistake, instead it exhibits a bizarre combination of multiple errors layered upon each other. A true freak accident of minting that cannot be replicated intentionally and exists as a one-of-a-kind numismatic marvel. Collectors first noticed that this penny displayed a strong doubling on the obverse side, particularly around the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," where the letters appear to have been struck twice, creating a shadow-like doubling effect that is instantly recognizable to experienced eyes. And while double-die coins on their own can command significant premiums, the uniqueness of this piece goes even further because the date, 1997 itself, also shows signs of doubling, especially the digits 9 and 7, where the outlines blur and create a striking appearance unlike a standard penny. But the errors do not end there. Closer inspection revealed that the coin also suffered from an off-center strike, meaning the image was not perfectly aligned with the planchette when struck, causing the design to shift slightly and leaving part of the rim thin and distorted. An error type that immediately adds intrigue and value because it proves something went awry in the minting press. And if that was not enough, the reverse of the coin further complicates the story because the Lincoln Memorial design exhibits die cracks running across the columns, creating raised irregular lines on the surface, which are physical evidence of stress and wear in the dies used to strike the coin. Such cracks are prized by collectors because they add uniqueness, but when combined with other errors they amplify the rarity exponentially. And in some places the reverse also shows what numismatists call die chips, small blobs of extra metal where the die cavity broke down, creating little raised bumps that should not exist on a flawless strike, adding yet another layer to its mystique. Furthermore, some experts argue that this coin may have been struck on a transitional planchette, meaning the wrong metal composition was accidentally used during production. And while most 1997 pennies were struck in copper-plated zinc, there are instances where leftover copper planchets from earlier years or experimental blanks find their way into the presses, creating coins that defy their expected composition and are therefore exceptionally valuable. Testing of this coin revealed a slightly unusual weight, fueling speculation that it might indeed have been struck on a different metal planchette, possibly even a leftover bronze blank. And if confirmed, that alone would explain a dramatic leap in value because transitional errors are among the most highly prized finds in the hobby. But perhaps the most mind-blowing aspect of this 1997 penny is that it combines all of these factors: double die, off-center strike, die cracks, die chips, and possible transitional composition, into one single coin, a cocktail of minting chaos that should statistically never occur together, and yet somehow it did, making this piece an unmatched specimen in numismatic history. And that explains why collectors went into a frenzy when it was first discovered, with auction houses eager to secure it for bidding and wealthy investors ready to break records to add it to their collections. And when the gavel finally came down, the coin sold for an eye-watering $37 million, cementing its place as one of the most valuable coins ever. And while the price might shock some, to seasoned collectors it makes perfect sense because rarity, condition, error complexity, and demand intersect in ways that drive prices into the stratosphere. And the 1997 penny is the perfect example of how numismatics rewards the rarest of the rare. Now let us consider why people are willing to pay such astronomical sums for a coin worth 1 cent in face value. The answer lies in a mixture of history, exclusivity, and the human fascination with owning something truly one of a kind. Wealthy collectors do not just see this coin as metal, they see it as a once-in-a-lifetime chance to hold a piece of minting history that no one else will ever own. And in the world of high-end collectibles, exclusivity is everything. Just as art collectors pay millions for paintings or rare manuscripts, coin collectors value the irreplaceable, and the 1997 penny fits perfectly into that category. Beyond exclusivity, the sheer curiosity factor cannot be ignored. Imagine showing friends or fellow collectors that a coin everyone has touched and spent at some point in life, a penny, could actually be worth more than luxury cars, mansions, or even private jets. It challenges our perception of value and forces us to appreciate the hidden potential in everyday objects, and this is why stories of error coins consistently capture headlines and spark interest far beyond the numismatic community, because they carry the perfect mix of rarity, luck, and mystery. In fact, many enthusiasts now scour their pocket change hoping to stumble upon a similar discovery, even though the odds are incredibly slim. And this excitement feeds into the culture of treasure hunting that makes coin collecting so thrilling. So when we think about the possibilities of the 1997 penny's value, it is not just the errors themselves but also the narrative surrounding it that makes it so compelling, a story of how an accident in the minting press turned into a fortune, a reminder that mistakes can sometimes create masterpieces, and that in the tiny space of a coin there can exist worlds of fascination and wonder, and this is why its story continues to spread, inspiring both new collectors and seasoned investors alike to keep searching, keep learning, and keep appreciating the unexpected value hidden in everyday objects. And so the tale of the 1997 1-cent coin worth $37 million becomes more than just a financial headline. It becomes a testament to the enduring power of human curiosity, the relentless pursuit of rarity, and the timeless magic of coin collecting. And with that, we encourage you to keep your eyes open, check your change, and remember that the next great discovery might be sitting unnoticed in your pocket right now, waiting to change your life forever, just as this 1997 penny changed the world of numismatics, because the world of coins is full of surprises, and every now and then those surprises turn into fortunes beyond imagination. Last 1989, a D1-cent coin, everyone, and thank you for joining today, because what I am about to share with you will absolutely amaze coin collectors, history lovers, and anyone fascinated by how a small piece of copper-plated zinc can transform from a simple pocket change item into something valued at an astronomical fortune. And in this case we are talking about the 1989 a D1-cent coin. A coin that most people would overlook at first glance, dismissing it as nothing more than another ordinary penny produced in the billions by the Denver Mint, but hidden among these countless coins is a rare version with errors and mistakes that elevate its value into the realm of multi-million-dollar treasures, and indeed this particular 1989 a D-cent has been valued at a staggering $36 million, a figure that seems unimaginable until you begin to understand the unique errors, the historical context, the minting process, and the fascination collectors have with anomalies that turn ordinary money into legendary rarities. So let us dive deep into the mystery, the possibilities, and the incredible features that make this coin one of the most valuable cents in existence, because at first glance a 1989 D penny looks like any other coin struck with the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet under magnification and expert scrutiny a world of anomalies begins to emerge, starting with double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, planchette errors, and even the composition quirks that sometimes happened during this period of transition in the minting process. And when collectors discovered that a small handful of these coins displayed combinations of such mistakes, the excitement rippled through the numismatic world. For instance, double die obverses are one of the most prized errors because they display noticeable doubling on the inscriptions such as "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1989, and in some cases the Denver Mint mark D itself shows strange doubling or even repunching where the mark was stamped more than once, producing overlapping impressions, and these errors are immediately eye-catching for professionals who understand the difficulty of such a minting anomaly slipping past the rigid quality control at the US Mint. Yet history shows us that billions of coins being struck inevitably leads to small mistakes, but the real treasure arises when those mistakes are not only dramatic but also exceptionally rare, and the 1989 a D-cent has them in abundance. And what makes it even more special is the possibility of transitional errors where leftover copper planchets from 1982 or experimental compositions were accidentally used in later years, meaning that instead of the standard copper-plated zinc, certain rare 1989 D-cents may actually be struck on older bronze planchets weighing 3.11 grams instead of 2.5 grams, and this kind of composition anomaly creates a dramatic difference in value because such coins are essentially wrong metal strikes, which collectors prize more than almost any other error. And in auction history we have seen similar transitional cents from the 1980s and 1990s sell for tens or even hundreds of thousands. So when you combine this with doubling, misstrikes, or die cracks, you have a recipe for astronomical worth. And that is exactly what happened with this multi-million-dollar specimen, because it did not just have one error, it had multiple stacked mistakes including double die lettering, a misplaced mint mark, a slight off-center strike, and a rare wrong metal planchette all in one, making it a perfect storm of collectability. And when experts examined it they realized how absolutely unique it was, almost like lightning striking in the same place multiple times, which is why its valuation skyrocketed from thousands to millions and eventually into the unbelievable $36 million range. And when you consider that 1989 was already a significant year for pennies due to massive mintages and the ongoing reliance on zinc cores, finding such a coin with anomalies is almost like discovering a modern-day treasure map hidden in plain sight. But let us break down more of the mistakes that make the coin so extraordinary, because mint errors can take many forms, such as die cracks that create raised lines across Lincoln's face or the memorial building, Cuts which occur when a piece of the die breaks off, leaving a blob of metal on the coin. Clip planches where the coin is missing a small curved section, broad strikes where the coin is struck without the collar causing it to spread wider than normal, and even rotated dies where the obverse and reverse do not line up properly, and the 1989 D has been reported to appear with several of these anomalies, each one boosting the rarity and desirability. And when collectors realized how few examples existed, the bidding wars began, pushing the prices into territory no one could have predicted for a late 20th century cent, and the psychological aspect also plays a role because collectors love a story, and this coin story is one of extreme rarity, bizarre minting mistakes, and the thrill of knowing that such a treasure might still be out there in circulation waiting to be discovered in someone's change jar, which fuels a kind of treasure hunting frenzy where millions of everyday people start checking their pennies hoping to uncover the next multimillion-dollar error. And the allure is so strong because the penny, perhaps the most humble coin in America, is suddenly transformed into an object of unimaginable value, and in this case $36 million is not just a number but a testament to how the numismatic world operates, where supply and demand meet rarity and desirability, and the 1989 AD penny represents that perfect convergence, because we cannot forget that billions were minted that year at the Denver facility, but out of those billions perhaps only a handful have the right combination of errors to command such astronomical sums, and that is why experts urge people to carefully examine any 1989 AD penny they encounter, weigh it to see if it matches the wrong metal planchette error, look at the date under magnification for doubling, examine the mint mark for repunching, and check the reverse for anomalies on the Lincoln Memorial columns where doubling often shows most clearly, because these small clues could indicate that you are holding one of the rarest coins in modern American history, and when you imagine how such a coin could be worth $36 million, you begin to realize that this is not just about the coin itself but about the passion, the competitive spirit, and the willingness of collectors to pay any price to own a once-in-a-lifetime piece. And stories like these remind us why numismatics continues to captivate people across the globe, because in the smallest details, in the tiniest mistakes, lies the potential for life-changing wealth. And the 1989 AD 1 cent coin is living proof of that, showing that even the most common and overlooked objects can hide unimaginable treasures. And if you are listening to this right now, you might even be inspired to take a closer look at your pocket change, because history has shown time and time again that extraordinary discoveries often come from the most ordinary places, and just like the accidental creation of this multimillion-dollar rarity, your next discovery could be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be recognized, authenticated, and treasured as one of the greatest coin finds of all time. And the fascination with this coin will only grow as its legend spreads, because coins are more than just money, they are history captured in metal, they are artifacts of a nation's story, and in the case of the 1989 D era penny they are also keys to unimaginable fortune, and that is why $36 million is not just a headline but a reflection of how priceless mistakes can become when combined with rarity, history, and the insatiable desire of collectors to own the ultimate prize.